There's a watch over there. You need to watch the time.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm going to present a paper. The topic name is Textual Analysis for Studying Chinese Historical Document and Literary Novels. I am the presenter, Zhou Zihao. First, let's take a look at our outline. First of all, I will introduce my introduction, explaining why we use textual analysis to help us to study. And then I will introduce our experimental material one by one. So I will introduce the database for the study of modern Chinese thought and literature. And this name is a little bit too long to say it, so it has been abbreviated as DSMCTL. And then I will introduce the 地方志. After the introduction of these two books, I will introduce another two books, which are vary from above. First book is The Journey to the West. The second book is The Dream of the Red Chamber. At last, I will have a conclusion. Let's see about our first experimental material, the DSMCTL. It contains 120 million Chinese characters. It is relatively large database, serves as a good resource for research, although it is quite difficult for anyone to read all of these contents. By the content of DSMCTL, we can know the development of historical events by analyzing its textual material. Let's see about my introduction. A question comes into my mind: why we analyze historical documents in Chinese? And my answer to this question is, by doing this, we can gain insights into research issue and overview. Also, due to the immensely increasingly availability of the digitized text material about Chinese history and literature offers good opportunities for researchers to take advantage of advances in computing technology to conduct historical and literary studies more efficiently and at a large scale than before. Besides, software tools are useful for data collection and analysis. The following pages are going to show some cases. First, let's see about our first experimental material, the DSMCTL. It contains more than 120 million Chinese characters. It is relatively large database, serves as a good resource for research, although it is quite difficult for anyone to read all of these contents. By the content of DSMCTL, we can know the development of historical events by analyzing its textual material. Take this figure as an example. This is a figure about temporal analysis of keywords that are related on the movement of constitutional monarchy in late Qing dynasty between 1905 and 1911. If among these 6 keywords, which are 官制、立宪、选举、章程、筹办 and 自治, if among these 6 keywords, proportion is much higher than the proportion of total, it means that in that year must have something doing with that keyword. Through this analysis, we can know that which is the most important issue for each year. For instance, the peak of 官制 and 立宪 is in 1906 and 1907. So it implies that the issue of whether constitutional is a big issue of that period. Let's see another figure. This figure is a little different from figure 1. What is the main difference between these two figures? Figure 1 is a temporal analysis of keywords, but this figure is a temporal analysis of collocation of keywords. And what is this figure about? This figure shows the changing trend of selected collocation of keywords for the study of the formation Chinese people. The peaks of the curves correspond to historical events that can be found and verified in Wikipedia. An obvious barrier in conducting the analysis of collocation was that there was a huge number of collocations to be examined. For example, if we have 100 keywords, we might have about 5,000 pairs of collocations, and it might spend a lot of time for historians to examine. So we use software tools to help historians to build this table. By observing it historian can know which pair of collocation are important. Let's see another example. In Chinese, some words might have different meaning, so we study whether the equality have different meaning in different periods. What is equality? It means 平等 in Chinese. We use the concept of collocation, observing which keywords will appear together with equality. This table shows the statistics of the frequency of keywords that collocated with the word equality in different periods. We can see that in different periods, different sets of words collocated with equality more than the others, and it implies different concepts of equalities. At the first stage, we can see that 七人强权, 万国 and 生面 these keywords are more appear than the others, and it implies that people seek equality of the nation when the Qing dynasty was really weak and was invaded by the Western powers. At the second stage, we can see that 权力倒立平等之位 those keywords are much higher than the others, so we can find that people were bothered by the inequality between the public and the private sectors. Okay, we are going to talk about another topic, transliterated words in historical documents. And the question comes into my mind, what is a transliterated words? Take an example. Concepts represented by words like president and democracy were new to Chinese, and how people reckon this concept in Chinese words are important for the study of this concept in Chinese history. So we use 海国图志 as an experimental material. Why we use this book? Because it contains many transliterated words, and the transliteration are already manually marked by the domain experts in China. And 海国图志 was published in the Qing dynasty, consists of 100 chapters, and contains about 6,000 characters. Since the transliterated words may not be recorded in any lexicon, we had to look for transliteration from raw string. After obtaining strings that appear more than twice, we sift the candidate strings with different filters. The goal was to reduce the number of candidate strings that will be manually checked by domain experts for transliterated words. And this is the three ways to filter. The first one is remove strings that frequently appear in non-historical documents. Take an example, literature such as The Dream of the Red Chamber. It is quite unlikely that transliterated words will appear frequently in literary novels. The second type of filter is to consider the special feature of Chinese pronunciation and word formation patterns. The phoneme and lexical patterns of transliterated words may not differ very much from older Chinese words, because they will be used in ordinary Chinese texts. The third type of filter is to consider the textual context of the transliterated words. Since the transliterated words in 海国图志 were manually marked, we could extract high-level linguistic features about the transliterated words and employ machine learning methods to mine the rules about the textual context in which transliterated words appeared, and then apply the rules to rank candidate strings. We ran experiments on a test set of more than 20,000 candidate strings. Only more than 15,000 of them passed the first and the second filters, while the recall rate was at 76%. When they ranked the remaining candidate strings with a machine learning-based method and found that 96% of the nearly 500 candidates were indeed transliterated words. Let's see about next topic, 地方志. What is 地方志? It is large collection of local executives compiled by local governments across many dynasties in China. But we have come across some challenge. For instance, we have 29 records for the same name, Wang Chen. Some records for the same name may belong to the same person, and some do not. First, let's take a look how to determine whether or not the owners of the 地方志 records with the same name are the same or different. We call this tag as a name disambiguation task. This algorithm considers many factors, including this factor that is listed as following. So after doing this, we can determine whether these two persons were the same person. For instance, this figure shows two records of Wang Chen. We can see that these two records have the same field, such as 方志,地方方志,地方志成书时间 and the 朝代. Although it has different fields such as 籍贯, one is 山东平原, another is 山东武城. Although these two location names do not match literally, but these two location names might belong to the same government location, so we consider as related. So we consider these two records of Wang Chen as the same person. Let's see another topic, Journey to the West. This is the feature of Journey to the West. It consists of 100 chapters and has more than 7,000 characters. And my first question to Journey to the West is, who were the monsters that wanted to consume the Buddhist monk Sanzang? And my second question is, which was the most powerful monster? To solve this problem, we employed software tools to extract and identify statements and chapters that might be relevant to the eating of the monk. The extraction of statement was based on some keywords selected by a novice who is well-educated native speaker of Chinese but has never journeyed to the West. Thus, there should be some specific word that will be used to describe its capturing, cooking, and eating process. After extracting the candidate statement, he browsed the parts of the chapters that are close to the children's statement to find the names of the monsters. While selecting the relevant statements, the novice may find new keywords that helpful for extracting more relevant statements. In such case, the novice could use software tools to extract more candidate statements. For further inspection, by using the software tools that facilitate the extraction of candidate statements and browsing of relevant contents in chapters, the novice do not have to journey to the West completely to spot the names of the movements who attempt to eat the monk. Result of this experiment proved the potential of using digital tools to study literature. To answer another question is, which is the most powerful monster? This question isn't difficult if we can consult some relevant knowledge. The figure above plots when some monsters appear in the chapters of JTTW. The figure below plots when some Dao master appear in the chapters. The horizontal X shows chapter IDs. Since normally the Dao master appear in the chapter to fight against the monster, we could rank the powers of the monster by the power of the Dao master. The powers and ranks of the Dao master are known to the human experts. Hence, aligning the chapters of the figure above and figure below by the chapter would provide due clue to the powers of the monsters. Okay, let's see about the next experimental material, the Dream of the Red Champion. The DRC has 120 chapters and believe that the first 80 chapters and the last 40 chapters were produced by different authors. We invented a new question about DRC. Which major role smiled the most? The figures show the frequencies of 宝玉, 黛玉, and Bao Cai smiling in each chapters. The curve suggested that Bao Yu is the person who smiled more frequently before the 36th chapter. Directly compute the frequency of smiling provides a simple answer. Nevertheless, the simple solution may not provide a solution that satisfies everyone. The reason is quite simple. A person is more likely to smile if he appears more frequently. Indeed, a more basic question before we try to answer the original question is how we define smile more often. An conceivable alternative of the raw frequency of smiling is to divide the raw frequency of smiling by the frequency of the character appearance. This figure shows the proportion of 宝玉、黛玉 and 宝钗smiling in different characters, given their appearance. Comparing these two figures, we will find out, although the absolute frequency of 宝玉's self-smiling was higher, 宝玉 did not smiling as often as 宝钗when they appeared. And this is my conclusion. With the help of digitizing data and software tools, domain experts can spend their precious time and energy on more in-depth research, analysis, interpretation, and judgment, also shed light on their current limitation. Thank you for your attention.
Do you have any questions? I think he's quite nervous, so he finished only within 15 minutes. So we have 10 minutes for Q&A. I'm actually one of the authors, so I can tell you that he mentioned many different tactics. So our goal is to use computational methods to help literature and historical studies. So we actually work with Harvard's team to mine name entity to do name entity recognitions, NER texts in literary Chinese, and we also analyze famous Chinese novels. They are also written in literary Chinese. That's why you heard Journey to the West and Dream in the Red Chamber. They are very famous Chinese literature. They even have English and many and translations for other languages. That's the background of this. If you do not have questions, we will leave the time for other speakers. Okay, thank you.